Lord, just be yourself. If people don't like it, if you're being yourself, fuck them.
It's Big Los
Hollywood Kev.
and welcome to another episode of The Noize, our 20th episode, sir.
2-0.
2-0. And out of all things to have to talk about,
Yep.
we have to talk about the day that hell finally froze over. It got chilly.
Yep. It's cold as a motherfucker.
You know, everybody had to put on their goose, you know, get to the New York Timberlands because it is officially snow flurries in hell.
Yeah.
Because as a country, whether you was involved in it or not,
We fucked up.
we fucked up. We've somehow made it to Inauguration Day, and you officially, well, not saying I'm going to, but you officially have to call Donald Trump president.
Yep. Our president is no longer black. I don't have a Lambo, so it was never blue, but
Right.
you get what I'm saying.
Now it's like a burnt orange.
Yeah.
So, of course, when we touch on these subjects of politics, we try to bring in people that can dive a little deeper than just the massive amount of shit talking that we normally would do here.
It was still going to be some shit talking.
It's still going to be a lot of it. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest and official family to The Noize, Darvio the Kingpin Morrow. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, sir? How y'all living?
Man, what all can you do? what all can you do in life knowing that Donald J. Trump is president?
Well, first of all, did you guys see any of the inauguration?
I finally watched it today.
I ain't watched that shit.
I refused to give anybody, any news media, the ratings to watch it the day it happened. So I finally watched it today on YouTube. I didn't want to be a part of that number. I'm sorry. So I finally watched it today on YouTube. And first of all, why was the inauguration that long for a 15-minute speech?
Well, you know, like, I missed most of the ceremony part because I had a business meeting in the morning, which was a lot more important.
Oh, of course. I had the same day. I had to make a subway stop, and I felt like that was just to me that made a more of a beneficial use of my time.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. I did catch most of his speech. What I saw was basically, it was for the most part the same old shit.
Yep.
I was actually kind of surprised that he, you know, threw a fig leaf at least to trying to bring the country together. He had a couple of lines in there. Like I believe one was, you know, with true patriotism, discrimination can't live or something like that. And then there was something about wanting to bring people together, you know, black, white, or brown, whatever. And I found it interesting that you know, that was put in his speech. Whether he believes it or not is a different conversation for a different time. But I thought it was interesting that he said it. But beyond that, it was pretty much the same old that we heard during the campaign.
You know, I called a lot of the things that he was saying dick tickling. Because
You want to explain that?
Oh yeah, no problem. So, dick tickling, of course, is when you're preparing to get fucked, and you know what's coming next. In this case, I call it dick tickling by some of the things he touched on in his speech. He was saying that, you know, you're going to buy American and you're going to sell American. We're going to keep a lot of the, I guess, financial trade within the country, even though I'm pretty sure he still outsources to China for his clothing line. But then again, that's not his clothing line anymore.
Line?
Yeah, you ain't know Donald Trump. He got like ties and stuff, don't he?
Really? I didn't know that. He should have a toupee line.
Why? His is trash.
I didn't say he had to wear his own stuff.
I'm just saying, like, just imagine if you, like, how LL Cool J was pushing FUBU. Imagine if he had, like, the worst FUBU. Were you going to buy FUBU at that time?
You got a point.
So it's like, if he goes up there and he look like he got on a shag rug that's ever so slightly shaved, a little taper on the side, you're not going to go for the toupees.
You got a point.
That's what's not going to happen.
But you know what, though? You'd actually be surprised at how many people in the country will probably love to look like him.
Yeah.
But why, though? He looks like he died.
I don't know.
And that orange ass spray anyway. So more of the dick tickling that happened. Not only with him mentioning buying and selling American, he also mentioned that in his presidency, that they're going to eradicate Islamic terrorism. Don't get me wrong. I think we all want that. But in 8 years, Obama was only able to kill bin Laden. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, that's a huge kill.
Right.
That is a gigantic kill.
Right.
How are you going to sit here and tell me you're about to eliminate all Islamic terrorism?
I'm going to tell you how. He about to pick up the phone and call them niggas and be like, hey, yo, cut this shit out.
Hey, can y'all chill?
and they going to do it. I mean, it comes down to it. I mean, it's funny because I don't think I've heard of the word ISIS in the form of terrorism until, late last year. Mm-hmm. Something's fishy about that with me. Do I wish it for it to stop? Absolutely. I don't want them out there killing people. I don't want people to die because of these people. Nothing like that. But I think our government played a major role, if not the major role, on creating that.
All right. Well, let's touch on a couple of those points. If you guys would indulge me for a second, I would like to actually go back first, and then I want to touch on the ISIS thing. You had mentioned about the what he was talking about, buy American, sell American, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so this is one of those things where, on the one hand, okay, all of us pretty much have backgrounds in the Midwest, right? Our roots are all in the Midwest, everybody on this show.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, from being from the Midwest, on the one hand, I understand what has happened in terms of like what happened with trade and how the factories have left and so on and so forth. And I'm all for, if you're going to try to renegotiate the trade deals, try to do something to bring the jobs back, I'm all for that. But on the other hand, I feel like he is making promises that he can't deliver. Even if he genuinely wants to try to do it, I don't believe that he can deliver because I think we live in a different world right now. So a perfect example. My song So Fly came out in December.
Shameless plug.
Right. Well, it's the same as plug, but I'm saying that to tell a story.
Got you.
Plug
Okay.
too. Now, if it was a really shameless plug, I'd say it's available right now on iTunes, Amazon, and all of the outlets.
Oh, you would say that. Okay, got you.
Right, I would say that if it was a shameless plug.
Got
but
you.
It's not, so I'll continue on with the story. So, basically, the way the song was put together, the producer came from California. The song was recorded in Cleveland. And the person who mixed it is in Serbia. So it took 2 states and a whole other country to put one song together.
See, you're already pissing off Trump, man. He told you buy and sell American.
But here's the thing, though. That's the way the economy works. Because me as a producer or me as an artist, you as an artist, if I can find someone, I would prefer to get a mixer or whatever in Cleveland or in the United States. Yeah. But if I can find them cheaper overseas, I'm going to get them overseas.
Right. That's why every time you call in to Frontier and these other airlines, you get the, hello, my name is Steven. No, it's not.
Right. Like, stop lying.
Quit
I hate
lying.
when they do that. When it's like the most American, my name is Billy. No, it's not.
Like, you couldn't think of no other names? Like, I just wanted to hear one of them say their name is like Trey or Keontae or some shit like that.
Jerome.
Then I'll be like, you know what? Your name might be Keontae. You may really have a black daddy that you've never seen before.
I respect that. Yeah. But so this is the way the economy works now. America, as big as it is, we got the biggest economy in the world, whatever, but we're not big enough to just make money from buying and selling goods to each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just not going to work. I was looking at the Spotify numbers the other day, and we've had a lot of plays of that song in Norway. I ain't never been to Norway. I'm not even sure if I could point out Norway on a map.
Bruh, the same thing happens with this show.
Yeah.
I just saw we got it's Hungry, right?
Yeah, I think it's
All right.
Hungry.
Yeah.
We just added Hungry to the listeners.
Really?
I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
a single person in Hungry, but shout out to the Hungs.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
same thing with us on our shows. You know, I was producing the Todd Allen show, which is another show on my network, and it's on iHeartRadio. And I was like, yo, before we started the show, I'm like, yo, I have no idea why, but your second largest country of listeners for the last 30 days has been Japan. I can't explain why, but it is what it is. So make sure you shout them out on the show. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Shout out to Miss Roboto and them.
Right.
Right, konnichiwa. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the way the world works. And I'm very concerned about him telling these people that we're going to be able to go back economically to the way it was before the 70s. It's just not going to happen.
It's not possible.
You know what I mean? How do you, I mean, you know this, all of us know this, being in the entertainment world. You got people listening to your stuff. You got people listening to us right now, everywhere. You know what I mean? So what are you gonna do with that? Are you gonna try to shut that down?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so that if they shut that down and you're limited to the people that can listen to your show, that limits the growth of your show. Well, if it limits the growth of your show, that limits the income that you can make. And if it limits the if it limits the income that you can make, it limits the amount of money that you can pay your people.
Right.
It limits your ability to hire more people. So you killing jobs that way. So you say that you about jobs, but if you really pushing this, we gonna shut ourselves out from the world. You killing jobs because you stopping people from having the ability to create jobs by being able to get access to more markets.
I completely agree with you. One of the main things that he was constantly preaching was putting the power back in the hands of the American person. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
To me, it doesn't make sense because a lot of the things that he is bringing in, a lot of things that he's doing away with that is kind of shitting on the American man and the American woman.
Well, because anytime that you try, and people have done this, they've all tried this. The Obama administration tried this early in his administration. So there was, I believe it was China, who was dumping cheap tires on the world market.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So when they dump cheap tires on the market, it hurts our tire manufacturers. So the tire manufacturers went to Obama and said, yo, you need to do something about that. Them people over there, they tripping. So
get your mans.
So he said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to slap a tariff on Chinese tires. So we're going to make it more expensive for those tires to come in this country, which obviously is going to drop the sales of those tires.
Right.
So, okay, if that was the end of it, all well and good. That works. But guess what? The other country has a say in something too. They said, okay, since you're going to put tariffs on our tires, we're going to put tariffs on your poultry. So it come to find out, America sells a lot of chicken and all that kind of stuff into China. So now for helping tire manufacturers, you've just damaged farmers. Because
that was a setup to such a racist joke, but I chose.
It was. I stopped. I caught myself. I didn't do it. I wanted to. I felt it.
I chose to stray away.
Yeah.
I was waiting for somebody to do that, but I'm like, I ain't gonna touch that.
No, we got a small percentage of China listeners. Again, I don't know who any of these people are if they even understand us, but we got a small percentage of Chinese listeners. You know what I'm saying? I bang with y'all. You know, fried rice is amazing.
I love it. I had it yesterday.
Me too, actually.
I had it yesterday. The work catered Panda Express. We was in there.
But I'm sorry.
Panda
Continue.
Express is amazing, by the way. But also, so we've tried this before. You know what I'm saying? The Obama administration tried this. It doesn't work because for every tariff you slap on another country, they slap one back on you. You know what I mean?
It's petty.
Right.
And don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of how China does business. They do manipulate their currency. In other words, they deliberately make their stuff cheaper here, but our stuff more expensive there. That's not the way trade should work. The way it should work is if your stuff is cheaper here, our stuff should be cheaper there. That's how everybody would make money. You know what I'm saying? But so they do manipulate their currency. They do as an entertainment CEO. I'm always leery about doing business in China because they don't respect our copyrights and they don't respect our intellectual property. That's why they got storefronts selling bootlegs in China. Because they don't give a damn about trademarks, they don't give a damn about copyrights. intellectual property.
Oh yeah, a lot of the pirated movies that come through America are all in Chinese.
Or got the Chinese subtitles.
And if it was made here, you always got them 3 dudes walking to their seat with the popcorn, or the random couple arguing about whose baby it is, and all this other shit going on in it. But yeah, majority of like the industry quality pre-screen bootlegs, they're in Chinese. Yeah. At least the subtitles are.
Right. So I'm not saying that China is perfect. They're not. And I'm not mad at you trying to get harder on China. But you can't shut the door down to China completely, because first of all, they owe a lot of our debt. And all they got to do is just be like, hey, all right, niggas, we want that bill paid. Then you're kind of screwed, because we ain't got it.
Bro, tell them I ain't got it, man. I put something on it.
You know what I'm saying? We ain't got it. So if you do that, you damage the economy. But if you can get them to the table and renegotiate with it, I'm all fine with that. But it's a way to do it, and it's a way not to do it. I'm not sure. We'll see how Trump is really going to approach this. But as a businessman, from a business perspective, I am concerned, because now is not the time to be shutting ourselves off to the world.
Especially right now.
Exactly. It's not like you cannot go backwards. You just can't. It's not going to work. Now, Kev was making some points about ISIS, and he asked a very good question, because this is something that doesn't often get talked about. Where the hell did ISIS come from? So basically, ISIS was originally Al-Qaeda in Iraq. It was their franchise, the spinoff of Al-Qaeda. It was like the
Joey.
I was going there.
It was the Joey of
friends. Al-Qaeda was friends, and ISIS is Joey.
Right.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It was the Parkers. You know what I mean? Like it was the spinoff. And they actually, this is how crazy this is. They were kicked out of Al-Qaeda for being too radical.
Damn.
Shit.
How you get kicked out of a group that flew a plane into the World Trade Center?
Right. They like, you know what? We bombed the USS Cole in 2000. We did 9/11. We bombed the World Trade Center once before in 1993. But these niggas is crazy.
Right, but y'all niggas ain't got it all the
way.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's what started with that. But what ended up happening was, after the war in Libya, when Gaddafi was kicked out, the NATO, they didn't make sure that there was something to take its place. Mm-hmm. And as a result, it created a vacuum, and ISIS came in and took hold to it. And then that's how it started to spread, Syria, so on and so forth. So we did have a lot to do with it, but it was mainly because of our fecklessness and stupidity that created the situation that we're in today. So I'm all for getting rid of Islamic terrorism. All for that.
I think everyone is.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. You're not going to be able to do it without cooperation with our Muslim allies.
Right.
So you're not going to get cooperation with our Muslim allies when you're talking about stuff like, hey, we're going to ban Muslims from entering the country. So guess what? One of our biggest allies who's fighting ISIS right now is the King of Jordan. He's Muslim. He can't come in. You know what I'm saying? We spend a lot of money, and they spend a lot of money back with us with Saudi Arabia. I wonder what religion they are. They can't come in.
Hard guesses.
Right. I give you 3 guesses as to what religion the people of Saudi Arabia is, and 2 of them don't count. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's the way you go about doing things a lot, and that's the problem with Trump. A lot of his ideas sound great on paper because they're made for sound bites. They're made for people to sit up and watch their TV and say, "Yeah, make America great again," which is great in theory.
Dick tickling.
When you get down to the details, it's like, where's the meat at? Like, okay, how are you going to do this? And that's the thing. I've been waiting from the very beginning since he announced his freaking campaign. I've been waiting from the very beginning for him to tell me how in the hell he's going to do the stuff he says he wants to do.
But D, he already told you, I'm just gonna do it.
And
if that's not enough for you, it was enough to get the man in the White House. If that's not enough for you, then you don't love this country. You might as well leave, and you want the terrorists to win. Ain't that what white people always be saying?
I guess, yeah.
And
You're just a thug, and you don't know what you're talking about, okay?
Right. But you know what, though? You know why it worked? It worked because for all of Trump's faults, Trump is a master marketer. He understands how to market. The reason why he won and Hillary Clinton lost is because he had a singular message that he repeated over and over and over again, all the way down to them stupid ass, cheap ass, ugly ass hats. Make America great again. Who doesn't want to make America great again, right? So,
but again, though, like when is this time?
Great?
What are we referring to as far as a great time in America? Because all the times they mention, niggas was getting lynched,
right? But I think that's because of a social standpoint. People are thinking about it socially when he may be referring to it economically. Right. People is worried about their money.
And see, that's what you're talking about. I'm so glad you said that because that's exactly where I'm going. That is the marketing genius of a great political slogan, because you put it out there and people can project whatever they want onto your message. Right. So when you say make America great again, that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Right. It has a bunch of different definitions.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So there's some people that are thinking, yeah, we going to go back to the times where I was able to go down and work in the field, work in the factories and all that good stuff and be able to make all this money and work there for 30 years without having a college degree.
From what you sound like, a high school education as well.
And then there are some people that's like, we can go back to the time when niggas was swinging off trees. So it just depends on who you talk to.
Right. It depends on the conversation.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? And so that's the genius of that slogan, though, because anybody else can project whatever they want onto that slogan. You know what I mean? And so that's how it worked. But again, the problem is, how is this going to work? And when I watched his speech, getting back directly to the speech, when I watched his speech, all of these promises that he's making, you setting up people for heartbreak and disappointment if you don't do it. You basically said that I am going to fix every single thing that's wrong with this country.
But you know what? Even with that, it's considering everything that's happened with Donald Trump, and my main example I'm going to give is Trump University. I don't understand how people can still take this man's word as bond when you've watched business ventures of his that were quote unquote for the people, basically fuck the people. Like, how do you take pride in giving confidence in this man's presidential run? You know how?
I'm going to tell you. Trump is a gangster. And I'm going to explain how.
If I say please.
I'm going to explain how. He's a gangster. So this is what he did. When he would get caught on any of that stuff, whether it was the bankruptcies, whether it was manufacturing stuff overseas, whether it was any of the other controversies that came up, you know what he said? Most politicians, and this was brilliant on his part, I got to give him his due. Most politicians would try to deny or run from it or whatever. He said, yeah, I did it. He said, I did it because that's the system in place. I manipulated the system. So, of course, I'm going to be the best guy. You need to vote for me because I'm the only guy who can fix it because I know what's wrong with it because I manipulated it myself.
I'm the one that broke it in the first place.
Right.
That's gangster. That's gangster. And people believe they bought it. They bought it. I'm like, dude, you a thug, yo.
Like, you one of them retarded thugs, though. You the cat that be shooting up shit just cause it's there. Like, you know what? Everybody's having a swell time. It's time to put 6 in the air right now.
Right.
But people roll with that because he was like, look, hey, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I used the system just like everybody else did. But I'm the one that can fix it because I know where the loopholes are. I'm like, damn, that's gangster.
Man, but still, I still can't stand him. I still can't trust him as far as I can throw him. I do want to get back to the inauguration, and we're pretty sure we're going to circle back to this conversation, so stick with us, people. In the beginning of the inauguration, this is something that really stuck out to me because I felt like it was, 1, petty, 2, disrespectful as hell, and 3, I felt like it was uncalled for. Trump and Obama, they've been going back and forth since Obama announced that he was running for president. Like, since the day Obama announced it, they've been going back and forth. I'm not going to say they're going to drop their beef because obviously it's still there. But if they can put that aside to at least, put a mask on and shake each other's hand and address each other and talk to each other as president-elect and, almost former president, then I feel like even as vice president-elect, you need to be able to do the same. I don't know if you guys saw, well, you didn't see it, Kev. You already said you didn't watch that. But, D, did you watch the beginning of the introductions when they brought in Mike Pence? He walked down, he was shaking everybody's hand, kissing babies, doing the usual stuff. And when he got to the bottom, it was Barack and Michelle. I can't remember if Hillary was there. I don't remember seeing Hillary. Was she there?
She was at the inauguration.
Okay, so she was there. It was Barack and Michelle.
Yeah.
It was Barack and Michelle, Bill and Hillary, and then the Bushes. He walked right past the Obamas and the Clintons and shook hands with George W. Bush and kissed his wife, and then walked right away. He didn't come back and shake Barack's hand until he was done taking oath as vice president.
I actually just found out about this not too long before I got ready to do the show with y'all, because I didn't see it at the time because, like I said, I was in a meeting that morning. So that was petty, and the fact that even Donald Trump wasn't that petty, right? And Donald Trump is petty wop. Like, that's who he is. You know what I'm saying? We have the first internet troll as president, and even he showed respect to both the Obamas and the Clintons.
Right. And he's down talked them for years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, he's, what he said about the Obamas. Now, the Clinton thing, I think, is more of a facade because they were friends and golf buddies and all that kind of stuff.
I agree with that.
I said there's plenty of pictures of it.
Right, exactly. So I think that might have been a little bit more of a facade. But Trump's entry into politics was the birther stuff. That's how he got known in the political world in the 2000s.
Right.
Was the birther stuff. So there was no love lost between him and Obama. But the fact that they were able to put that aside to work together, Obama, helped him with the transition and everything else.
Knowing that they closet hate each other still.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Trump showed him respect as a result, because Trump is the type of guy who, if you're nice to him, he loves you. You're the best. You're the greatest. You're the best person in the world. If you're not nice to him, you suck. You're a dog. You're stupid, and your breath stinks.
Some of these are direct quotes from his Twitter.
Like, that's how he operates. He's one of those type of people. If you're nice to him, he loves you. If you're not, he hates you. So, and he's pretty open about that.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that that the vice president couldn't at least fake it for 2 minutes, knowing good and damn well that the eyes of the world is watching, that's kind of concerning to me.
What made it even more disrespectful to me is that he looked Obama dead in his eye and then surveyed the landscape and then was like, ooh, the bushes, and then walked over to them. I'm like, dude.
That was like some high school Mean Girls stuff. Exactly.
Until this man takes oath, Barack Obama is still your president.
He was still the president at that time, yeah.
At the end of the day, and you know what? No one is making a huge, hubbub about it. No one's like, oh, that was disrespectful and all this other stuff. They're just like, there goes a real vice president. Man, get out of here. Stop that.
You know what? I think Mike Pence is closet. I think he's in a closet.
You think he's actually dick tickling Trump?
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Nah, you know what? Trump got too many kids to be getting dick tickled by it. Nah, anything's
about to say, Eddie Long had kids too.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not touching that conversation.
You're right. But no, I would be surprised if somebody got some pictures of Pence being dick tickled by another man. I would not be surprised.
I'm mad that this phrase just became a thing on this show.
Yes,
that should be the name of the show.
The word of the day is dick tickling.
Hashtag dick tickling.
Hashtag dick tickling. Get it going. Something else that really rubbed me the wrong way. Well, and really, I gotta say pause because
I was gonna say dick tickling. Pause.
Yeah, that was bad timing on your part.
Horrible timing, but they get it. Now, one thing that really, and I was about to say touched me. Something that actually that another thing that pissed me off was now that he took the oath and he's officially president. I want to say it's like 17 minutes. I want to say his speech was. Of the 17 minutes, he gave 45 seconds to say thank you, Barack Obama, and that he did an excellent job as president. And I shit you not, Kev. The remaining 15 minutes was subliminally bashing the last 8 years of what Obama has done in office. Again, this is the inauguration.
Right.
You're not talking like you can hear his words and you're just like, granted, you're dick tickling, but you're not addressing the nation as our president. You're trying to say, yo, didn't that last dude suck? Right. Don't you guys want your jobs back? Don't you want the country to be back in your hands? Like that's when he said he's putting the power back into the people's hands. What did Obama do that took that power from the people's hands? Well, was the power ever in our hands? First of all,
exactly.
Well, here's the thing, and you bring up a good point. Once again, he's standing in Washington, in the middle of the political establishment, and he's disrespecting everybody around him.
Right.
All of them. Because let us not forget, the Bushes hate his guts too.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Let us not forget that the Republican leaders of Congress hate his guts too. Mm-hmm. Let us not forget that a majority of his so-called own party, which isn't really his party, he just came and kind of took it over and was just like a squatter in an abandoned house.
Right.
But anyway,
he came in like, y'all gonna finish that?
Right. And his quote-unquote own party didn't. Most of the leaders, a lot of the leaders didn't back him. So he stood there, surrounded by, like, dude, you're the president. You can't be anti-establishment anymore. When you're the president, that's the definition of establishment.
You are establishment.
I don't think he thought he was gonna win, bro. Like, I truly think it was one of those, I'm gonna do this and see where it goes. And in the back of his mind, he was like, all right, I ain't gonna win. We can go back doing the regular shit. Oh shit, I won. What the fuck do I do?
I think there was an article or a news report that came out like right before things started getting deeper into the election. Somebody reported that I think it was at one of his rallies or something like that, that when he walked to the back, he silently said to himself, I may really win this.
Yeah, like
he was surprised.
I don't truly think that he believes it, and now he's like, well, it's like when you putting in job applications because your girl is like, hey, you need to get your ass up and you get a job. So you're putting it in any and everywhere, and you hoping some of these places don't call, like McDonald's, because you don't want to work there, but fucking McDonald's calls.
They the first one to call.
Right, and you like, fuck, I got to take this job so she'll get off my back. I think that's what it was.
You just called the country McDonald's.
Right about now, shit, that's a great analogy right about now, bro.
Well, you know what, though? I mean, there's actually a lot of truth to that. It's almost like, you chasing that fine chick, that real pretty chick, and you like, man, I'm gonna try to get her. I ain't gonna get her. And you ain't really ready to be in a relationship. You just fooling around. But you like, I'm gonna try to get her. And then you get her, and you like, damn, I got her. Okay, now what do I do?
Right.
They didn't think they were gonna win up until election night. A lot of them didn't believe they were going to win. So, absolutely, that is absolutely factually accurate, and I don't give a damn what anybody says, and if anybody tries to say otherwise, they are lying to you. They did not think they were going to win.
Well, now we stuck with him.
Now we got him.
Right. now we stuck with him. We stuck with that fucking McDouble when we wanted a Big Mac. That's exactly what
it's not, bro. This ain't even a McDouble. This is a McRib.
Damn.
Right, we got a McRib.
We got a McRib, bro. You know they had McLobster at one point. Really? I seen a report where they had a McLobster at one point.
That's deep.
I don't fucking know.
You know, I can't even call this a McRib, bro. You remember when Burger King was doing actual rib tips?
They were.
This is Burger King rib tips.
Wow.
They're giving it to us, and it's like, whether you like it or not, y'all gonna deal with this until the time is up. Y'all better get in on these BK ribs,
right?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, he's the president now, so for the next 4 years, this is what it is.
Me and Kev, we was talking about that before we got on the show. I don't think we as American people have anything to fear. Now, granted, he's going to do a lot of dumb stuff in his presidency. We all know that's going to happen. Every president does something stupid. But we know Donald Trump is going to do something stupid. But, you know, once we recognize the power that we have, we're going to be fine. What people need to realize, they need to educate themselves on these situations. Because a lot of people are taking their education from Facebook memes and different shares and manipulated clips and stuff like that. People really need to take
that's not a good idea.
Exactly. You need to take the time to actually read it. And again, I've told people straight up, I was not interested in anything politic related until we got a black president. I have no problem admitting that. I have no shame in admitting that, especially because this was the first election I was allowed to vote in I was of age.
The same for me. Yep.
So I really had no reason to pay attention. So I was late getting on board, but now that I'm on board, you know, I was able to say that, you know, when I first voted for Obama, I'm like, yeah, go ahead. But then the second time I was like,
Exactly. First time, I'll admit, black, he could have said anything.
Right.
I was going to vote for him because he was black the first time. The second time I really had to think, like, all right, do I really want to do this or not?
Right.
And I mean, he truly was the better candidate at the time, so that's why he got the vote. This particular time, this shit here, man.
If people actually took that time to educate themselves instead of just being super duper social media activists, with that power, how far we can go. Like, everyone wants to talk about we should impeach Trump. Recognize the stuff that Trump is doing wrong and then move forward. Because even though a lot of the people inside the White House hate Trump, they're not looking to get rid of him because they don't want another Obama.
Right.
Well, and not only that, I mean, it's the Washington establishment. They don't like change. I mean, he's there now. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. And the thing that I used to tell people that I was so frustrated by, that people weren't really paying attention and weren't really taken seriously, I'm like, look, if y'all want to stop him, you need to stop him from getting nominated. Because once he get nominated, we interviewed Roland Martin on my show, and he said, hey, when it's down to two people, one of them can win. Like,
exactly. That's what everybody seems to forget. But hey, they also seem to forget that D's Nuts was running too.
And Hennessy.
Right.
And Hennessy and Harambe.
Right. You know what I mean?
People didn't give a damn from jump.
The time to stop him really was during the primaries. And it was just where he started winning, where he was racking up victories, was places where the electorate was majority white and majority older. So minorities weren't crossing over to vote in that primary, and young people weren't crossing over to vote in that primary. They either weren't voting at all, or they were voting in the Democratic primary, which was pretty much locked up anyway. You knew good and damn well Bernie Sanders was not going to be allowed to win the Democratic nomination. I don't give a damn what anybody say. Hillary Clinton was going to be the nominee no matter what. Period, point blank, end of story. They got super delegates over there. She was going to win it. Period.
We should have tried harder, though. Oh, my God.
She was going to win that nomination no matter what. That was the deal they made. Because if you remember, when she quit in 2008, she actually could have stayed in the race. Obama wasn't blowing her out.
Right.
He had took the lead, but he wasn't blowing her out.
Yeah, he's right. I remember that. I remember she did drop out, and she could have won. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the deal. So it was like, okay, look, I'll drop out, but you know what? Next time is up. This bitch belonged to me.
No, I'm coming up in here. Make way. Elbow room.
This is my house. You know what I'm saying? So that was already that goose was cooked. You know what I mean?
Right.
So but the problem was nobody was really taking Trump seriously until it was too late.
But I don't understand why people didn't. Everyone seemed to forget that Ronald Reagan was an actor.
Mm-hmm.
That we had Arnold Schwarzenegger as governor.
Mm-hmm.
We had Jesse Ventura as governor.
Mm-hmm.
What makes them not going to put a reality TV nigga in office?
And here's the thing about that. Trump is like the first pure entertainer president.
Yeah.
Because even Ronald Reagan was governor before he became president.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He was governor of California before. So Trump is the first pure celebrity president we have ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, it was a lot of people's fault. The media propped him up because he was good for ratings, right? Because whether you liked him or you hated him, you would cover him because he would say something outrageous.
Yeah, this whole thing was for ratings. That you are completely right. Everything that happened dealing with Trump was just ratings. Trump is president because of ratings.
Mm-hmm. And let me break it down even further. He knew that even to when he announced his candidacy. Okay, so a lot of people didn't notice this, and if you're not in the business, you don't catch this. He announced his presidency, I believe, in the summer, in the early part of the summer, I believe. It was either June or July. I don't remember the exact month, but it was around that time. The reason why he did that is because those are slow news months. So by timing his announcement during a slow news period, all of the news channels would cover him because they didn't have anything else anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he knew, even to when he timed his announcement, he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, I remember we had this conversation on the last show. I don't know. It's like we've been saying. He's in the office now, and ain't much we could do about it. Getting back to the inauguration and him actually getting in the office. Now, I knew that, when he said his first order of business was to repeal Obamacare, mm-hmm. I knew that was going to be his legit first order. I didn't think he was going to do that on the way to the ball. Like, hey, real quick, slide through the crib. I'm about to, get rid of this young Obamacare real quick. So I kind of figured that was going to be the case, but I didn't think it was going to happen so immediate. Now, another thing, I don't know if this has already been made official, but they said that he suspended a housing order that I guess that benefits people buying new homes.
Mm-hmm.
And basically people that own houses but don't have that much money, it's going to raise their mortgage.
Yep, mortgage interest rates, I think, are going to go up.
You've already eliminated Obamacare, so now broke people are going to die at this point. And now broke people are about to go homeless as well.
It's all population control, dog. I'm telling you.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
So let's address the housing thing first, and then I want to get back to Obamacare, if you guys don't mind.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So on the housing thing, this first of all, it was really, 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 really bad timing. I don't know why in the hell they decided to do this on the very first day.
Right.
Now I've heard some arguments because this plan was actually something that was put in place by the Obama administration late. So it wasn't something that had been around for a long period of time. So theoretically, you think it would be easy to remove. Here's the problem, though. Every time that there's a regulation or whether there's a incentive or anything that comes from the government, the market adjusts to it. So theoretically, you would think, okay, well, it won't be that difficult to unwind it because it hasn't been in place long. But here's the problem. There are people out right now shopping for homes as we speak that had this into their considerations.
Mm-hmm.
So now what are they going to do? You know what I mean? You can't just, and there's arguments to be made. Like, I mean, the plan itself is kind of difficult and it gets into the weeds and it's something I don't really want to dig into too much. But there are arguments that I've heard people make for getting rid of it, that, it could contribute to another housing bubble, encouraging people who can't afford homes to buy them, so on and so forth. That's all well and good, but the problem is when you yank it right away, you screw the people who are out in the marketplace trying to use it right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you were going to try to wind it down over an extended period of time, that's one thing. But to just try to yank it while people are literally out buying homes right now, trying to use that program, that's a bad look.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, so what does that mean for the people that already own their homes and paying mortgage on their homes? Like, what does that mean for them?
Well, and see, here's the thing about that. There's a lot of confusing information that's come out about this. So we're not really sure. We're not really sure what exactly happens to those folks.
That's
because
my bad, keep going.
No. I mean, I've heard that it could raise people's mortgages. But again, because it was done so quickly, nobody's really had any time to like dig into it and see like, okay, well, what's the deal? What's the deal really with this? You know what I mean? I just found out about it like yesterday.
If this is something that's already been in the mindset of the Trump administration, why wasn't this something that was brought to the forefront when they were talking about his policies that didn't exist until yesterday?
Well, like, I think part of it though is, and this is what we need to see, how much of the Trump administration is going to be ran by Trump and how much of it is going to be ran by everybody else. Because here's the thing, and nobody likes to hear this, and people didn't like to hear this when Obama became president too, because he had to learn too. When it's all well and good when you say, hey, we want somebody that is close to the people, we want somebody who doesn't have a lot of government experience, et cetera, et cetera. That's all well and good until you get there. Mm-hmm. And you're surrounded by people who know how Washington works, and you don't. So you end up, and this is what happened with the Obama administration in the first term a lot. Obama ended up having to lean on a lot of the people that he campaigned to change, to get rid of, because somebody needed to know where the light switches were. Somebody needed to know where the bathroom was. Somebody needed to know how stuff works in Washington in order to get anything done. So when people say, hey, we want an outsider, that sounds great.
No, it doesn't.
But when you get there, somebody need to know how to run the damn thing.
And it seems like he has an administration built of people that this is their first time.
Well, and that's another thing. There's a lot of people. It's funny. I'll tell this story. I'm not going to reveal too much because it's somebody I know personally, and I like to keep my sources quiet. But there was an incident that happened with the Trump campaign where someone in the campaign had said something foolish and was removed. And so I reached out to a person that I know who worked for the campaign to ask this person, like, yo, what the hell is up with this? And they were like, well, look, I really didn't want this person here anyway, but nobody who knew how to do politics wanted anything to do with us. So we ended up just pulling anybody.
Wow.
And that's exactly what his administration looks like. Hey, what you doing on Tuesday? Hey, yo, come through.
Yeah, come.
Yeah. We're going to give you a position. Right. You still on your mom's couch, right? Hey, listen.
You need something to do? I got some work for you.
We got some brews. We're going to do
this. So did you see where, I guess the Trump administration, they updated the official White House website?
Yes.
And they were writing that Trump is committed to eliminating harmful and unnecessary policies of former President Barack Obama, including like the climate action, any initiative involved in that, stuff like climate change, the LGBT, veterans. Did you see anything about that?
Like they took all of that off the website.
They took it off, yeah.
Like they just got rid of it.
Like it just never was there.
Very early on. So part of that is kind of standard operating procedure. Like that's part of that is kind of how they do it. Like when the new president comes in, they change all the passwords to the to the Twitter accounts and the websites and everything. And then
Biden should have really changed the Wi-Fi like all the memes said he's been doing.
Bro, what if Biden was on Twitter like Trump be on Twitter?
Yo, that'd be
That
great.
would have been hilarious.
And you know what? I'll tell you something. This is where the Democrats screwed up. Joe Biden should have been their nominee.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Joe Biden-
Honestly, Joe Biden or
Biden-
Michelle, one of them should have just stepped up and be like, all right, it's my turn.
Joe Biden would have, and Joe Biden wanted to run, but President Obama talked him down because it's Hillary's turn. And Joe Biden would have beat Donald Trump. I really, truly believe that, particularly because of how Trump won. Trump won with white working class voters.
Right.
Joe Biden has a base of support among white working class voters. So the Democrats screwed that up royally on that.
Man, I felt like this had to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, with our show being recorded so close to the inauguration, it was almost inevitable for it to happen.
I mean, if y'all want something different, I mean, we're not gonna go into it, obviously, but I Love McConaughey's gay.
Wow.
Yeah, he came out, said he was gay. But I mean, anybody that's in the club on a Tuesday religiously, he probably is in a different type of club in the first place.
I say it's a certain kind of night going on that club.
Yeah.
But again, this isn't something we're gonna really get into. It's just
Right, that was just to change the subject for a second.
just to give y'all a little bit of a change of subject. Still kind of dealing with Trump. Well, first of all, just to kind of close the subject of Trump, I didn't trust him. I still don't trust him, but I was willing to give him a chance to see what he was bringing to the table. As the days drew closer and looking at some of his first actions, I honestly say I don't even want to give him a chance. Like, again, whatever good he plans on bringing, I welcome, because if it's going to be good and it's going to be for the betterment of the country and its people, I welcome that. But I will never support Donald Trump as our president. And I have no problem going on record saying that. I understand if no one else can say that, but I don't trust him. He's a snake. He's a chameleon. I've never looked at somebody before and been like, you have an alternative motive. You know what I mean? I've never been able to just judge somebody, because I've always tried to judge them by the content of their character. And MLK told us to do that. With him, the fact that his Carfax, his rap sheet of just dicking people over, it doesn't prompt me to give him any kind of trust. It doesn't prompt me to give him any kind of confidence that he's going to lead this country correctly. Especially because it's not really even going to be him leading the country. It's going to be a bunch of people who kind of know what they're doing in his ear. Like, yo, you should do this. Yo, you should do that.
And you know what? And here's the thing. There's a couple of points I want to make on that. One, I think this is the biggest fear that people have concerning Donald Trump. I was just talking to a friend of mine, actually, who voted for him and couldn't understand why people were so afraid. And this wasn't a person that was just being facetious or just trying to be douchey about it. Like, this was a person who was legitimately asking, why are people so afraid? And I said, okay, since you're legitimately asking, I'm going to tell you. Here's the thing. If any other standard Republican would have won, you pretty much, generally speaking, you pretty much know what to expect, right? Like, you pretty much know what to expect with a standard Democrat. You pretty much know what to expect with a standard Republican. The problem is we've never seen anything like Donald Trump before. And the biggest fear is the fear of the unknown. We don't know what the hell he's going to do. And people are afraid of that, because when you've never been in office before, you've never been a governor, you've never been a mayor, you've never been a dog catcher. So you don't have a record.
You never even paid taxes. You don't do nothing for the government.
You don't have a political record. So we have nothing to go on other than the stuff that comes out of your mouth.
And it's all been bullshit.
And that's what makes people afraid, because all you have to judge him by, he has no record. So all you have to judge him by is the things that he says. So this is why people are so afraid. I will say this. I'm like you in the sense of I don't really trust him either, because, again, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what Trump you're going to get, because one of the things I've read reports that say Trump could change his mind on a policy based on the last person who talks to him. So, and I hear when people meet him, I hear that He's a totally different person when you meet him than when you see him in public. So the question still is, and I mentioned this on your show, after the election, the question still is, okay, which you is the real you? You should not be getting sworn into office and I still not know who the real you is.
Right.
That's a
I
problem.
still don't know your policies until they pass. That's really an issue.
That's a problem. That's like the Nancy Pelosi thing, what she said about Obamacare. We got to pass it to see what's in it. That's not how the government should work.
Right. I understand you just got here, but in certain ways things ain't supposed to happen.
Right.
Right.
This ain't one of them.
Right. Like, it ain't supposed to go down like that. So this is why people are more afraid than usual, because we ain't got nothing to go on other than what he says. Now, like I told you on the previous show, there are some things that I've heard that they want to do that I'm like, well, that's actually not a bad idea. It's like, oh, I don't hate that one. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, that's okay. But, I don't know, like, are you really going to do it? Are you going to push for it? Are you going to, like...
Or are you bullshitting?
Right, I don't know.
Dick tickling.
Dick tickling.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know who this guy is. And when you're the president of the United States, that's a problem. I think basically, for the most part, most of us, whether, you agree with President Obama or not, most of us generally knew who he was when he got in office.
Mm-hmm.
You generally knew what to expect. He pretty much told you what he was going to do. With Trump, and he had somewhat of a record. His record was thin too, but he had been an elected official at least.
Right.
So when he was a senator, or when he was a state senator prior to that, he had a track record.
I still don't like him, but yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Obama had a track record. Trump has no track record. So who is?
Oh, you were talking about Obama? I thought you said Pence.
No,
I
was
like
Obama.
Obama.
I was talking about.
Be on the record, people. Lowe's likes Obama. He ain't got no problem with him. He thinks Pence is ass.
No, I was talking about Obama. But even with Pence, again, that's another one. He was a governor. He was a congressman. There's a record.
Did you say congressman or con man?
Tomato.
Right. So, there's a record. With Trump, you have no idea. This is the first time in American history. In American history, I had to say that one more again.
Just for the people in the back.
This is the first time in American history that we have had a president without any previous political or military experience.
He got reality TV show experience.
Yep, he probably played a soldier on something.
You know what I'm saying? Like, his experience is reality TV and taking a Stone Cold Stunner. Like,
hey, he did.
He hella took a Stone Cold Stunner, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
But he don't want to do a rally in Chicago.
Yeah, because they're going to try to off him.
That's a different kind of stunner.
Right.
That's all we know. Like, I know he can take the hell out of a Stone Cold Stunner. You know what I'm saying? So, we don't know. And I think this is a scary place to be in some regards, because we won't really know what he's going to do until he's firmly in office and he starts pushing for stuff. And
he just does it.
Right.
I feel we like you said, man, we in scary times right now. And like I've mentioned on this show before, or at least in private, the Bahamas ain't looking too bad right about now, bro. They really not. We have luxurious women walking around, all the fresh fruit we can eat.
Pick it from the tree.
Right. It's not looking too bad. But no, okay. So this is just me being me. So I don't know if y'all believe in aliens or not.
Okay, where is this going?
This is going because right.
But you know what? Trump is president, so anything can happen.
Right. No, I'm saying this to say, let's say if they out there and the government obviously they knows about them, so on and so forth. Now I don't know if they keep it a secret from the president or not, but let's say they don't.
Like the lizard people?
Yeah, let's say they don't. And let's say Trump finds out that it's aliens. Being that he's supposed to be anti-establishment, what if he's the person to break it to us that it's other people walking around? How would you feel?
I wouldn't believe him. That's the horrible part.
You know what I mean?
If he was going on stage, guys, I've seen them. They're real. They have horrible financial decisions. Like, if he ever come, I'm like, man, get out of here. You lying.
Right.
I know you ain't seen no dang on alien. Stop that. And then all of a sudden we attacked, and I'm like, damn, I still wouldn't believe him.
Right. You're like, damn, you know what? He probably was right about that, John.
Nah,
I should have listened.
If they attacked, I'd be like, why you ain't tell us sooner? Why you just? Right. But just like his policies, he's going to drop it on us.
He's just going to tell us.
He's just going to let us know, like, hey, this is what's going on. There's aliens, B.
Right. So now, real quick, before we change subjects, I did want to touch on one more thing about this.
Oh, yeah.
Now, with all of that being said, everything that we just said, I do want to acknowledge this. I think people getting angry at people for meeting with him is silly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
And the reason why is, first of all, again, we don't know what he's going to do, right? So, knowing from what I've heard about him, that he's a guy that likes to make deals, and he likes to talk to people face to face, and you can influence him, you can change his mind based on talking to him. That's what I've heard from people who work for the campaign.
Stop that.
It's not a bad idea to at least, if the guy wants to talk to you, talk to him. See where he's at. Put it on the table like, look, this is what I want for my people. And then see if he does it or not. If he's full of shit, then you can call him out on it.
Exactly.
But I don't think there's any harm. Like, I saw what Steve Harvey went through. Like, they crucified him.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you mentioned that. I know you seen my post, Los, of the picture. So it was a video on Facebook. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even remember how it got to my particular timeline, because the person who I had an interaction with, I don't know this person. But he had put in there, he was going in on Steve Harvey, right, calling him all sorts of coons and stuff like that. Now, the headline for this particular video said, Steve Harvey says if Donald Trump wants to speak, you answer, or something of that nature. And I clicked into the video, I watched it, and he really didn't say anything like that.
No, he didn't say that.
He didn't say that at all. And I asked the guy who was doing the most bashing, I said, now, did you watch the video? Because I'm really trying to understand what was cool like. And I was being genuine. Like, I wasn't being, an ass. I was truly trying to understand, is this something that I'm missing? And this dude went at me sideways. Like, he went at me. And I'm like, I told him, I was like, I was genuinely trying to ask you, but calm that down. You clear across the country. You're not going to do that to my face. Calm down.
Relax.
You know what I mean? It didn't even go back and forth. He said one more thing, got to a point. I was like, you know what? You're right. Bless up. And left it at that. Mm-hmm. But my thing is, I've seen so many people bash Steve Harvey for this, and it'd be different. You know what I mean? It'd be different if, like, Kanye, if you're going to bash, I get that. Kanye clearly went there to take pictures and be in the media. I get that. But someone like Steve Harvey, someone like Jim Brown, people who have had track records of helping the black community,
right,
they're going to go out and try to listen, because at the end of the day, we got to have some form of dialogue.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Nothing's going to get better without that dialogue. Whether it's economics, whether it's about social type aspects, unless you talk, there's nothing that can be done about changing it. So I agree with you 100%. Absolutely. Like, they're bashing people for going to sit there and talk, and it's just a conversation.
And I remember we were talking about. Well, I was talking to both of y'all about it at one point. As far as the outrage towards Steve Harvey and Jim Brown and Ray Lewis, again, I would say people are upset at the wrong things. Mm-hmm. They're upset that they actually sat down and engaged this man in a conversation. And I've said this to people before. If Trump invited you over to have a conversation about the issues, anybody listening right now, if Trump invited you to have a conversation about the issues in the black community, the brown community, any kind of minority community, you're gonna go. Right. And you're either gonna go. You're either going to go to talk shit directly to his face, or you're going to go to truly attempt to educate the man on what's going on.
And if you don't, then you're part of the problem.
Yeah, but I say if you don't, you're for sure part of the problem. What I think people's outrage should be, and where my outrage is, honestly, and not to the point where I'm on like Steve Harvey's a coon, but I'm just like, to all these black voices that are going, they're not reporting back what's being said. Everyone's saying the same thing, the same general dialogue. Or they're going in there, yeah, we had a conversation and, his ideas, I just wanted to see where his head was. Like, okay, that's all well and good. But if you're telling us this is what the conversation is, what did y'all speak about?
Right.
What did he say about what you
mean.
had to say? If you're not sharing that information with us, then it's like, now you do look like a cool, you do like you're jigabooing for somebody. That's where I'm pissed off at. I want to know what the conversation was.
Okay, well, so I'm glad you brought that up. Because Steve Harvey addressed this on his morning show, and full disclosure, I'm a fan, I'm a supporter of Steve Harvey. He's from my city. He and my mother, they went to college together. Actually, he, my mother, and Arsenio Hall all went to college together. So, from a personal level, I got a lot of respect for the dude. Mm-hmm. So he addressed this on his show, and one of the things that he talked about, he talked about what they discussed. The plan is, from my understanding, is to use the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is going to be ran by Ben Carson, to rebuild the inner cities. And they're coming up with some sort of plan to take, because HUD is a billion, they're billion dollar department, the $1 billion agency, multi billions of dollars. And they have money and investments all across the country. And they're coming up with initiatives to rebuild the inner city. Now, once again, if they do what I'm hearing they want to do, I'm with it. I've seen some of the plans that they're talking about. Again, we don't know yet because we don't know what's real and what's not. But I can confirm this because a couple of weeks ago on my radio show, we had Dr. Alveda King as a guest, and she said the same thing. And this was prior to the Steve Harvey meeting. So this was two different people at two totally different periods of time saying the exact same thing. She made it a point to bring up about whatever they're planning on doing at HUD with Ben Carson, because a lot of people forget Ben Carson's from the hood. He don't act like it, but he's from the hood. So
nowhere near.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what they talked about. And Steve also said that, he has a big mentoring program. And he was talking about, being able to lend his help with his mentoring program, or getting, one of the things that he said specifically is to have facilities built in the inner cities where kids can go to be able to stay out of trouble, stuff like that, which is something that a lot of cities need because of the fact that they're taking a lot of stuff out of schools. They want kids to stay out of trouble, but they don't want to give them nothing to do. So you're going to find trouble because you ain't got nothing to do. So that, from Steve Harvey, from what I heard from Steve Harvey, that's what they talked about. Now, go ahead, bro.
Go ahead.
No, well, I was just going to say, Kev brought up Jim Brown. And let me just say this. You do nothing, Twitter, internet gangster ass fools have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to question the credibility of Jim Brown.
Bro, did you hear the words he was using?
He
meant every bit of that.
Jim Brown? Really? Are you serious? You can disagree with the man? There's been a lot of things that I have not liked about Jim Brown in his past and the things that he's done. And as a matter of fact, my grandmother, Los's aunt, before she passed, she used to always say she knew Jim Brown personally because she used to run the restaurant that used to be next to the Cleveland Browns practice facility. And she hated his guts. He was an ass back then.
Yeah, I'm about to say, as far as him personally,
I've heard.
I can't really bang with him personally. Didn't he throw a chick out a window?
Yes, he did. So there's issues with him personally, but no one can question what he's done for the black community. If you question it, you don't know nothing about it, and you need to go read up. There's a beautiful thing that's called Google. It's out right now. You might want to check that out.
It's useful.
It's very useful. So at the end of the day, like you said, Los, if I get a call to talk to him about issues that are important to my community, I would talk to him. And I have been vehemently against Donald Trump You know what I'm saying? Like, I've lost, and Los, you know this, I have a lot of friends in politics. I've lost personal friendships because of my stance on Trump. So I got the scars to prove it. You know what I'm saying? You can check my record, whether you go listen to the show or whether you go read any article that I've written over the last year and a half about politics, going all the way back to November of 2005. I got the record to prove it. But at the end of the day, he's still the president. And one more thing I want to mention about that, let us not forget the man who signed the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act, Lyndon B. Johnson, was a racist. He was a racist. I don't give a damn what anybody got to say about it. Go check the quotes. Go check what he used to say. Go check what how he used to address us, and go check some of the things that he said in the Senate on the record. Lyndon Johnson was a racist, but he still signed the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act. I don't really care if you like me. Just give my people what they need.
Yeah. See, that's why I said I welcome whatever good he has to bring, but I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. And that's actually a really good example, is the fact that Lyndon Johnson was a racist piece of shit, but he still signed the Civil Rights Act that kind of eased things up ever so slightly. But so like with stuff like that, that's what I not necessarily look forward to with Trump, but that's the only thing I'm willing to accept with Trump being president. If these things are going to come to pass that Steve Harvey was talking about, and we're going to go forward like that, I'm all kind of cool with that. But as far as him as my president, I mean, you could dead all that. I'd hate to end on such a negative, so I just want to give this like 2 or 3 minutes. The alt-right leader, Richard Spencer, got that ass knocked out.
I forgot about
I am so happy somebody finally gave that man.
What's the kicker about it, though?
It was a white guy. Exactly. Finally, we're not the violent ones. That
but he didn't knock him out, though. He didn't knock him out.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he should have slapped him.
He gave him a good piece, but he didn't really give him, that work.
Right.
But you got to think about it. Had it been a black dude, he'd have been shot 6 times and had a gun planted on him.
This is true.
Right, he would have had 6 warning shots in his back, as Jazzy Jeff said. Yeah,
and sprinkle some crack on him as well.
Sprinkle a little crack on him.
Just go ahead and get this out the way.
I have to ask y'all something before we go.
What's that?
It has nothing to do with what we've been talking about.
All right.
Why the hell is World Star getting a TV show?
Because it's World Star.
Yeah, I heard about that. I was like, wow. I said, if World Star can get a TV show, anything can happen. But I knew anything can happen, bro. When it was a couple of, I've never seen any of their stuff, but I found out there's a couple of Twitter celebrities who have been getting their own TV show on Viceland, that Viceland channel.
Really? Yeah, Vice gives a lot of
I'm like, you know what? We gonna be all right.
We gonna be straight.
Like, what is this show gonna be about? Like, is it gonna be like a ghetto TMZ, basically?
That's exactly what it's going to be. That's why they're getting it.
I think it's going to be that mixed with like a black ridiculousness.
Okay,
really? Wow.
That's from what I've heard, though.
Okay, that's interesting.
So whenever we can
watch it, but that's interesting.
Oh yeah, you are. I am too. This is going to be my mindless TV.
Episode, but that'll be it.
Then you gonna be hooked,
right?
D, man, it's always good to have you on here, brother. Tell the people where they can find you.
All right, make sure that you follow me on Twitter at D the Kingpin. That's the letter D, THE, not THA, KINGPIN. D the Kingpin on Twitter, D the Kingpin on Instagram. Make sure you listen to the Outlaws Radio Show on iHeartRadio. You can find us at outlawsradioshow.com. Or if you have the iHeartRadio app, type in the Outlaws Radio and we'll pop right up. We have a song called So Fly featuring Divine that's out right now on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, and all the other outlets. And on February 17th, I have a new song coming out called hold on, I've been drinking. So what is it called? Unconditional.
No judgments. Kev.
You guys can find me on Twitter _Hollywood Kev. That's where I be. Los.
At Big Los UTC on Twitter. I am horrible at tweeting. I will get better. I promise you I will.
Yes, you are.
Mind your goddamn business. But, of course, it's always good to have the Kingpin here to give us that political insight. It's been fun. We've had some good conversations here.
Thank you, sir. And, I hope I helped.
Oh yeah, most certainly. I don't know how people's comfort level is right now, but you know, it is what it is. We definitely got Trump in as president, so all right, well. I mean, there ain't much you can really say about that, man. But of course, keep it locked at Beat Network. Make sure y'all check everything out. Beat Network 1 on Facebook, Beat Network 1 on Twitter. Stay locked into Back to the Classics. Stay locked into Like Water for Chocolate. I know they had episodes missing this week. There were a couple of glitches, and you know, shout out to Truth and Lex Love. I know Truth's kid was under the weather, so that's definitely something that comes before business any day. Family first, always.
Yeah, tell them I said what's up.
Got you. Again, D, thanks for coming through, good brother.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it, man.
And of course, as always, it's Big Los
Hollywood Kev.
It's the Noize.